Welcome to Robert Karl Cellars. I'm Rebecca Gunselman, and here we are in Spokane. I'm glad you could come and visit us. Pretty small operation. My husband Joe is the winemaker. I do the marketing, but all those grapes go through these hands. We have 3 sons, and they've worked in the winery with us and done all aspects. However, 2 have gone off to school, and neither one's doing enology and viticulture. But we're hoping one of them will come back. So anyway, we do everything right here at 115 West Pacific. Pretty small operation, about 2,500 cases. Our fruit is all grown down in the Horse Heaven Hills. 4 vineyards down there. Our estate vineyard is the Gunselman Bench. That was planted for us in 2000 to Cabernet Sauvignon. We also have long-term contracts on Finney Hill, McKinley Springs, and Andrews Horse Heaven Ranch. And McKinley Springs and Finney Hill both planted blocks for us. So although we don't own the ground, we have long-term contracts on those grapes. And those all started with about 25-year contracts. So we work very closely with our vineyard partners. When my husband's down there tasting fruit and when it's ready to be harvested, we bring it all back up here and do everything in our converted fire station. This building was built in 1912 for horse-drawn wagons. And when we first started leasing the building, it sounded like a very nice romantic story. And when the ag department came in and did an inspection, he looked around and he said, "Boy, this looks like a dairy barn." And I said, "Funny you should say that. I heard it was a fire station." And he said, "Absolutely, this was probably the livery for a fire station." So it's a cool old building, and things kind of come together on our label. You'll see that the crest has 2 horses, and I think that really pulls in the Horse Heaven Hills and the fire station here, and so we like that little synergy going on.
Now, you guys were pretty savvy in figuring out the Horse Heaven Hills future for Big Reds.
Wow, you know, we just lucky, I think. When we first moved here in 98, excuse me, we went all through the Columbia Valley, and we've sourced fruit from throughout the Columbia Valley and really some fabulous vineyards. De Brule in Sunnyside, Ciel de Cheval on Red Mountain, Pepper Bridge down in Walla Walla. But we always kept coming back to the Horse Heaven Hills. When we walk through the hills, we just love the way that soil billowed up around our boots, and we love the way the wind just whipped through there. And we always felt that that truly was where the best Cabernets were going to be grown. And so when we first met Dick Bechtel and we expressed our enthusiasm about the area, he said, "Well, we ought to plant for you." And that's really how we got started. And then it was with Rob Andrews and his family. He said, we like your enthusiasm, and we'd plant for you on McKinley Springs as well. And so although we continued to source fruit from throughout the Columbia Valley, Horse Heaven always called to us, and so by 2003 we completely committed to Horse Heaven Hills. And so now all of our fruit comes from there. And even vineyards that are less than 10 miles apart, each one brings a little something different to the table. Particularly Cabernet. For example, our 2005 Cabernet is 100% Cabernet, but it's from 3 vineyards: the Gunselman Bench, the Finney Hill, and McKinley Springs. And when we taste these Cabernets, each one has a little different. One has a little more tannin. One is brings some violet characteristics. And so again, just a little difference in the elevation, the wind, the soil type. So really very cool. In all the research we did, if people can't say the name, they don't buy the wine. And Gunselman seemed a little difficult. So Robert is from my side of the family, and Karl is from Joe's side of the family. And this tank is named after Anna Karl. And Anna was the matriarch of the family. She married Michael Gunselman, and she had no brothers. So we decided that it was fitting to use the Karl name in the winery. Our youngest son actually is named Karl, and he'd be the one we're hoping is coming back. Any of them, we'd love for any of them to come back into the business. So, and we really kind of lucked out on this place. We sat down when we first started the business, sat down with an accountant and told him how we were going to kind of set up our business plan. And he said, "Well, where are you going to do that?" And we said, "We really don't have a location in mind." And he says, "Hey, I've got a warehouse, and we'd be willing to lease that to you." And so we have been here since the beginning. And not much of a tasting room. We do turn up a barrel in the front and put a little pretty piece of glass on it. And we have a lovely tasting room hostess that will gladly serve you wine on Thursday and Fridays from 2 to 5 or Saturdays 12 to 5.
Okay. Now, so you made the commitment to downtown Spokane right off the bat.
Yes.
Now, some people would see that as kind of a risky move.
Well, we really, first of all, we came to Washington State because we think this is where the grapes are. We think the best grapes in the world are in Washington State. Then we started thinking about, we had 3 young boys at the time, and we started thinking, where do we want to raise those boys while we're making this wine? And although we've been all over the state and we see wine being made in all 4 corners, we realized that we could continue to get our grapes from where we thought the best grapes are grown and then bring them back to wherever we are. And we decided that Spokane was really where we wanted to raise our children. It's a good day job is here, and it's a very convenient area for us to move wine out of. So that's why we've kind of committed to this. Right now our production is here, and that's not particularly convenient or sustainable, and so we're thinking that within a year or 2 we'd like to put the primary production in the vineyard. The Gunselman bench has about an acre that's not planted, and so maybe put the primary production down there and make this into a nice little tasting room and event facility.
So your first production, what vintage was that? And then
1999, and pretty small production. We did about 600 cases of Cabernet Sauvignon, and the fruit from that came all primarily Yakima Valley. So that was De Brule Vineyard, Del Sol Vineyard, which has changed hands since then, and Whitestone Vineyard. And Whitestone's up on Lake Roosevelt, and they actually don't sell any of their fruit anymore. They're making their own wine. And also have a downtown tasting room, Spokane downtown.
Right. And then, so what's your case production up to now with the latest?
About 2,500 cases, and that's spread across about 9 different wines. Cabernet is still our flagship. We make about 500 cases of Cabernet Sauvignon. Our workhorse, though, is the Claret. We do anywhere from 1,500 to 1,700 cases of that, and represents a nice price point. It's usually about $20, $21 a bottle on the shelf. And then there are some other darlings. So we make a little bit of Syrah, and we make a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc, and a dry Cabernet Franc Rosé.
Now, where did the passion for wine come from?
You know, we've loved wine for a lot of years, and helped some friends plant a vineyard. And during that time, my husband said, honey, this is a great family business. This is a great family business. Wouldn't you like to start a winery? And I said, sure, sounds good to me. And so at that point, we were living in Roanoke, Virginia, and we decided that if we were going to make wine, we were going to come to where the best grapes in the world are. It's right here, Washington State.